Manson, on the average, had, I believe it was between 18 and 20 followers at any given time.
Wow.
He spends more time in prison than he does free.
Charlie is in LA to pursue his music career. I want to be the front man. That's where things really took a turn for the worst.
Manson shows up to show everybody how it's done, and he cuts his ear off with a sword.
Go to the 10050 Cielo Drive house and destroy everyone in it as gruesomely as possible. That's it. Charles Manson and the Sharon Tate, Labianca murders, one of the most classic American serial killer stories of our time. I mean, really, it's far deeper than a serial killer story. It involves Hollywood, it involves the United States government, it involves music, the Beach Boys. I mean, he rubbed shoulders, the Beatles. He rubbed shoulders and comes into contact with some of the most iconic people of that generation, the late 60s. Put yourself 1969. This is the tail end of the 60s, tail end of the great experiments of hippieism and leftism, Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great New Society. It comes to an end with the Charles Manson murders. It's drugs gone awry, right? It's this cultism, this cultishness of these hippies, these wayward hippies, too much acid. I mean, it's so sexy for a number of reasons. And
I was going to say, these murders put the nail in the coffin of the 60s.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was the final, that's over.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Free love and flower power.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, right. And by the end of this, I'm going to argue that Helter Skelter, Charles Manson, the Manson family, these murders were a CIA experiment gone wrong. Or not even an experiment gone wrong. Manson, I believe, was just one member of a larger CIA experiment, MK Ultra, that involved psychological control through the use of administering acid, LSD. And he's a guy, he was part of the blowback from that. And that's why they've been trying to cover it up. That's what that's what I'm going to argue.
Right.
But the entire story is absolutely mind-blowing. So Matt, take us away. Who is Charles Manson and how did he grow up?
Born November 12th, 1934. Boy, that's a long time ago, right?
Yeah. He's like almost my grandpa's age.
Cincinnati, Ohio. His mother was Kathleen Maddox. She was a teenager when he was born.
Yeah, this woman was a piece of work.
Yeah, his father, as soon as he found out that she was pregnant, he bolted. Yeah. He took off.
That's back when you could bolt.
Yeah. And he was kind of I know, the good old days.
Yeah, right?
You could knock up some chick and change towns, shave your mustache, you're a brand new person.
Dude.
So he was kind of a con man, right? Mm-hmm. And she was a troubled soul. So she was a drunk. She
was a fucking teenager.
Yeah, but so she was a problem child, and she never got better. She never gets better. No, she stays a drunk. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I think the second guy she marries, she meets him at AA. He's in AA. They get married. AA doesn't take. They're drunks again.
Right.
Anyway, but initially she's trying to raise little Charlie Manson. Little Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
Isn't that cute?
Cute little Charlie.
The little babies that they make, the little AI babies they make of people.
Right.
We should have an AI baby Charlie Manson.
He's just a little toddler with a swastika on his forehead. Love it.
So anyway, one of the things that I've heard over and over again, and this is something, I don't know who whether this was Charlie or his uncle or who said this, but his mom was at a bar and there was a waitress who's talking, and so Charlie's in the bar with the waitress in the bar. This is in like the 50s at this point, right? 40s or 50s. So he's a baby.
No. This is 1934.
Oh,
he's a baby.
This would be in the 30s. Let's say late 30s. He's a little tiny baby and a little kid, toddler, and the waitress is commenting on him, how cute he is, how adorable, how she doesn't have kids, and the mother agrees to sell him to her for a pitcher of beer. and she takes him.
And legally, they make that transfer?
She just takes, this is in the 30s.
Whatever, yeah.
So
You don't
picks
need
him up
paperwork.
and takes him. And, look, first of all, this is some waitress in a bar. Who knows what's going on, what her problem is. So
she's not thriving either.
She takes him, and supposedly it takes 2 weeks for Charlie's uncle to track her down and get Charlie back.
So she wasn't even going to go back and get her kid?
No. She's a piece of work, bro. We can't get into it completely, but she did everything but basically sell this kid.
Yeah.
So
he's from the kind of worst
possible
white
scenario.
trash. This is kind of before the level of trash is almost unthinkable in that era, which was very family oriented. It was, even though it was very poor, it was during the Depression. It was supposed to be like religious and family units. You didn't see a lot of families like this, like real trailer trash in the 30s. So, I mean, this kid had no chance.
Yeah.
And it's about to get a lot worse, okay?
So he starts stealing. He's in and out of these institutions, getting
right?
arrested, matter of fact, at one point, and this is a story that comes from Manson, it's never been verified. He says that at one point he tried to set the school on fire.
Yeah.
So he's a smart kid. Later he's actually given some tests in one of these schools, and it turns out he has like 109 IQ. He's an above average IQ, but he can barely read.
Yeah.
He does obviously learn how to read, but this is when he's still a teenager. Anyway, so
by the time he's 12 years old, he's already going in and out of boys' homes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. He's in and out of boys' homes.
And he's escaping. He's escaping from a lot of these homes too.
Right.
Terre Haute, Indiana, he's at a Catholic reform school, runs away within a couple of days.
Yeah. And I think this is the one where he runs away with another boy. They rob or they steal a car. There's a gun in the car. So they have a gun in a car, and they go to the other boy. His uncle is a career criminal. They go to his house, and he basically takes them under his wing and starts showing them how to rob places. Mm-hmm. And they basically split the money. Yeah. He sets it up, tells them what to do. They go in, they rob it. So they rob something like 10 convenience stores or something. This is it. So
it's like junior high school. They're doing this.
Yeah.
It's
they
wild.
end up getting arrested, and he goes back to another reform school. This was back when you went to. It's kind of like a they're kind of like the juvenile facilities, right?
Yeah.
But these are nicer than the juvenile facilities.
Right.
He also starts running away again.
Yes. Finally, in 51, he's like 17. He's arrested for interstate auto theft after stealing a car and crossing state lines.
So this is the one where, this is the one. Once he escapes once again with another kid from the boys' school. He ends up escaping. He steals a car and he drives across state lines. That's why the feds come in and grab him and throw him in.
Right. So he's a teenager in the federal system. Right. He's sent to the National Training School for Boys. Repeated escapes. He escapes again.
Yeah. So that's the point that he's placed in a really tough facility.
Yeah, he goes to Petersburg, Virginia in 51-52, the Federal Reformatory at Petersburg. Right. And this is where his life changes.
Yeah, this is where he's
it goes from bad to worse.
Supposedly, well, I don't think it's up for question, but he's gang raped by a bunch of. First of all, I think we need to establish that he's like 5'2" or 5'3", and he weighs 100 pounds.
Tiny little guy,
right? Maybe 110 at the most. At this point, he's probably 80 pounds. He's a kid. He's a teenager. Yeah. So he's constantly being victimized. Yeah. He also has the psychiatrist said he had a what was it? Not a victim. Now they call it like you have a victim complex. But it was a persecution. He felt he was constantly being persecuted. There's a name for it, but it's basically you feel like you're being persecuted. Society's persecuting.
Right.
Despite the fact that you're stealing cars, you're robbing people, you're causing a problem. I also understand that it's the same concept of you're raised in the project. You don't know your father. Right. Your mother is essentially a prostitute. Everybody you know is selling drugs. Yeah. And then you end up in prison. It's like, did you have much of a chance?
Absolutely.
I'm not saying people don't escape
Yeah.
that situation, but you have less of a chance than the guy that was raised in an upper middle class white neighborhood who has every advantage.
Yeah.
When that guy goes to jail, it's because he's just a bad seed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about a guy that was sold by his mother to a stranger for a pitcher of beer. Like, I would probably feel like a victim too.
Right.
You know, whether that is a psychological disorder.
And you're bullied, he's bullied all the time.
Yeah.
He's 5'3".
Yeah. Yeah. He hasn't yet, it doesn't seem like he has yet learned how to bully back. Like in the early reform schools, it seems like he just runs away. Like the guy is a fucking misbehaved truant from the beginning, a misbehaved dunce. But it's after he's gang raped that he goes from, I think we could probably comfortably say that that's when he goes from juvenile delinquent to kind of a detached sociopath.
Right. So if he wasn't already, I'm sure that the gang rape didn't help.
Yeah.
So one of the psychiatrists ends up saying that he, in the reform school, well, on the street, she said on the street, just based on his lifestyle, but especially probably when he's victimized to such an extreme, that they said because he's short and small of stature, that he very quickly had to learn how to gauge people and learn how to become a master manipulator.
Yeah.
And I'd like to mention when I was watching this, I'm watching this interview on TV, that as soon as they said that, being short and small of stature and he was young, short, and small of stature, and because of that, he had to learn how to become a master manipulator. My wife immediately looked at me.
Yeah.
And I went, what? And she's, I'm just nothing. I'm just saying.
Nothing. Nothing. Well, you were like.
And then you know what I said to her? I go, do you smell that? And she looked at me. She goes, no. And I go, exactly. Where's my coffee?
Nice, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
That's how I
like
roll.
that little Charlie Manson. You're like, wife, you don't know that I'm not capable of that.
So you have no idea what I'm capable. No.
So it's like, when you're that short, like the guy had mouthpiece. Basically, they say the guy had mouthpiece. Now, it's wild because when you watch videos of him, like on YouTube from prison where he's giving interviews, he sounds like a little cracker. He sounds like he plays the banjo.
Yeah.
He's like, so it's hard to picture him in the 50s being able to manipulate women and get people to bow to his will. But clearly he realized power.
Yeah.
He understood power. And when he was gang raped, I mean, he learned that violence and sexual domination basically equated to survival, and that belief probably shaped his worldview a little bit, right? So he's once again, I mean, this guy was in like 5 institutions before he was 18 years old. In 1952, he's transferred to the Federal Reformatory for Boys at Chillicothe due to ongoing misconduct, Chillicothe, Ohio. According to later interviews and prison files, Manson was again sexually assaulted by inmates.
Now, by the way, he's about to be. Keep in mind, after he spends some time here, he's within a few months of being paroled, and so a few months before his parole, he kind of flips the script, on him.
Well, he becomes the victim. He becomes the victimizer.
Right. He's caught raping another inmate. So I mean, here it says gang raped, but the truth, I heard it was just him caught.
One-on-one.
It's one-on-one.
Right.
But it may have been gang rape. Whatever. He's caught. He's holding a razor to another inmate's neck while he's raping him. And he gets caught. And as a result, he ends up spending another 12 months or 14 months until his sentence is complete. And then they release him.
A lot of people, it's fun to make jokes about gang rape in prison, rape in prison. It's the oldest trope. It's the oldest stereotype.
Yeah.
We know from being in the system, you and I, that gang rape is very few and far between. There's a lot of homosexual activity.
I was hoping you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say it happens all the time.
No.
I was going to be like, no.
No,
not in my experience.
It does happen. There's really awful prisons, especially in the South, that are understaffed and people are murdered every day. And people do use rape as a tool of control.
Yeah.
But it's quite rare in American institutions, American prisons. But so we kind of don't appreciate how normal straight heterosexual men have used rape on each other in the past. And it wasn't really like a big stigma. I mean, it was horrible, but I think they looked at it like beating somebody up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they looked at it. I mean, it's just, that's what we did to really humiliate somebody, was rape him. Like, you know,
right.
We heard about somebody doing that in
super uncomfortable
in a prison. It is, but it's just mind blowing, because rape has been a tool of war since Genghis Khan, right? But up until very recently, it was also just a way of like bullying somebody in prison.
Right. Well, I also think whenever people ask me about that, like I get, you know, I do speaking engagements and stuff, and it's inevitably somebody will ask me something along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
You know, of course, you know, the thing is what they don't realize is like, you do realize like there are homosexuals in prison. Yeah. You know, so it's like if someone is being raped, it's not because it typically has to do with something other than looking for sex, because there are homosexuals that are more than willing, a few stamps to meet you in the bathroom.
Right.
So so sex with other men is prevalent in prison.
Absolutely.
An actual forced rape is probably something else.
It's pretty low, and especially now because, you know, if you're an inmate with a sex jacket, your life is in danger in a lot of prisons. So you don't want to be that guy that gets caught doing that, because you might, you know, not make it to chow the next day. So I think that is far more prevalent, you know, sex offenders getting beat up or killed, than it is to punish somebody. Because clearly this is not homosexual behavior. This is bullying.
This is being these guys are brutalizing one another.
So, I mean, look, that is... Oh man, he's 19 now.
Right.
He's 19, and think about what he's been through. Again,
he spent
we're not justifying anything, but we're saying this poor fucking guy had zero chance.
At this point,
out of anybody we've talked to, we keep setting new records with this show, because out of all of the people that we've talked about so far, all of the serial killers, I think Manson had it the worst in his childhood.
Oh yeah, because of definitely. Because this is happening to him over and over. This is one institution to another institution. Well, you don't know what happened with the mother.
Given away by his mother, probably beaten by men, right? Then gang raped, and it's just...
And he's small and a problem.
Yeah.
It's not like he's cowering and he does well in school and doesn't cause problems. He causes problems.
Yeah.
So what's interesting, by the time he's 19 and he's released from prison, he's spent more time in prison than he has free.
Yeah. And so from there, you've got a forming monster. You've got a fledgling monster on your hand. In 1954, he was released from juvenile custody and immediately entered the adult prison system. Wow. So he didn't even hit the streets.
No. So it's funny, because I had watched one thing where they talked about how he went into prison and the guys that were in the older guys had taught him how to be a pimp. And that from Charlie... It was known as to having said that all growing up, when people asked him what he wanted to do, he said he wanted to be a pimp. His friends had said he wanted to be a pimp.
That's fascinating, because he
pimp, like, you know, I'm gonna be a pimp.
Yeah, like he's Iceberg Slim.
Yeah,
but he kind of achieved his dream a little bit
for a while. Oh, you know, ultimately, kind of,
But
right?
You know, telling a bunch of young women to go kill somebody, it's pimping. You know, it's just in a different form. And so it's kind of all with the sexual trauma, and all of it kind of did culminate in pimping, coercion, psychological control. Right.
Yeah. So the problem is when he does get out and he gets a few. So he gets married. He gets out and he gets married.
Right.
And he gets married along with a friend of his wife, and he pimps. But he goes to New Mexico and pimps both of them. On another occasion, he gets several women. The problem is he can't keep these women. Like, he's too small. He's not intimidating enough.
Yeah, he's kind of dirty. You know, he's a ball of trash from Southern Ohio.
How if you're 125 pounds, if you're a 5'7", 125 pound woman, how worried are you about a guy who's 100 pounds and 5'2" or 5'3"?
Right.
So part of being a pimp is the intimidation factor. I'm just not sure how intimidating he is.
Okay, so he goes in and out of prison in the mid-50s for pimping, other small beefs, right? Gets divorced from his wife in 1956 when he's in prison.
They did have a kid.
They had a kid.
They have a kid, Charlie Manson Jr.,
God.
who ultimately, by the way, after the murders, changes his name, but I believe he was 30, but his father's reputation plagued him his entire life, and he was 37 years old. He kills himself. Wow. I mean, just the whole thing's a tragedy.
Yeah, the entire thing.
Anything this guy touched turns into just, a tragedy.
I mean, yeah, God, where were you? God, if you want to argue for the existence of not God, this would be the tale, the Manson lineage. He goes back to federal prison, I think, for a long time. He goes back from 59 to 67. He's locked up. He's got prison terms back and forth at McNeil Island. Isn't that wild?
This is
so by the time he makes it to San Francisco and meets and forms what history knows as the Manson family, he's spent like 65% of his life behind bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. They say that all the time. That's a constant that he spends more time in prison than he does free. Well, wait. When we get to the last time when he's just about to be released, you know that when he goes in front of the parole board, he asks them to allow him to stay. How did you not hear this? He tells them, I'm okay in here, and my fear is that if I leave prison, I will reoffend and just come back. And he says, I'm settled here. I'm okay here. Can I stay?
Think about how many times the law could have intervened.
Well,
every great serial killer, has been given too lenient of sentences. No, I mean, they can't let him stay. That's not how the justice system works. Give him more time, maybe, right? Violate him or something. But you can't at that point.
But he does. He doesn't. He actually gets released, and that's when he meets the parole. He gets his parole officer.
Right. And I just want to point out before we get to that in one of his stretches leading up to his release in '67, he learns guitar and he falls in love with music.
Oh yeah, that's in prison.
Yes,
no, it's in prison.
It's in prison. Yeah.
You want to hear something even better? Do you know who Danny Trejo is?
Of course, the legend.
So you know who? The link there.
No.
They met in prison. They used to hang out in prison. He said,
Get out of here.
What did you do?
Get out of here.
Did you read one book?
Oh,
I read Live
dude, tell me again. Tell me again and I might believe you. Danny Trejo, the legend actor.
He has a whole thing on Manson. He talks about him. Yeah, he said he was a dirty little fucker. Yeah. What did he call him?
Little runt.
Oh, he called him something. I remember it sounded so funny. But he said that Manson got with Danny and a bunch of his buddies and convinced them that he could what is it when you talk to somebody, you turn them into a spell? What is it?
Put him in a trance?
No, it wasn't a trance. It was hypnotize. He convinces him he can hypnotize them and make them high. And Danny Trejo says, and he did. He said he was extremely charismatic. And he said he said, and as a result of that, he said, that they all liked him and thought, even though he was a dirty little fucker. I forget what he called him. It was like kind of like runt, but it was something like that. It was so funny.
Wow, but
how do you not?
But think about that, Matt. He basically practices for what's to come. He keeps those women, those young women, under a spell. Now he uses acid to do it.
Yeah,
but this guy was perfecting mind control.
But do you say that when we started, you're like, you have no idea like how many people he was in and out and had contact with.
Of course. This guy was
before
a piece
Danny
of history.
Trejo was famous. He wasn't famous.
many years. Many years. The guy didn't start. Danny Trejo didn't start showing up in Hollywood movies till like the 80s. I think he was in like Blood In, Blood Out.
Was he like in his 40s or something?
Yes,
like that?
yes. He's like probably 80 years old now. But this is important because he falls in love with music, right? Like he finally finds something that he's good at and that he likes to do, right? So he must have been overjoyed. John.
Charles Manson and Danny Trejo met in 1960, 1961 in the LA County Jail.
Oh my God. Think of 1961. That's insane. So what was he doing out in LA? He was already in LA in the early 60s.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So he learns guitar. He studies Dale Carnegie. Wow.
Oh, yeah. And did you know?
And he studies Scientology.
Yeah, he lists his religion going into prison. He lists his religion. his religion as Scientologist.
Crazy. So he's got all of the makings of a crazy LA person.
So there was
you know what I mean?
There was actually a video about Charles Manson and his connection and belief in Scientology. I didn't watch it because it was just it was like it was too much. It was like there's so much to cover.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But I watched another video that said he had put it down, but that he never was. They said he wasn't like an active member, but then they also said that he went through somebody said he had went through 200 hours of auditing.
Oh,
so how is it you're not really an active member, but you went through 200 hours of auditing?
Well, remember how powerful Scientology is in Hollywood, right? Even back then,
I was gonna say this is in the cusp of it. This is
but it's been around, since the end of
50s,
World War II.
Really? I didn't know that.
So that's why he must have known already when he got to LA that, okay, if I want to get in the business, I need to study Scientology because the people that control this town, many of them are Scientologists. So, I mean, the guy has all the trappings. Like I lived in LA for 13 years. Mm-hmm. This is you're right. Everybody's a wannabe musician. Everybody's a Scientologist. Everybody believes in manifestation. It is a cult-like energy. And when he finally hits the bricks in 1967 and gets released, he emerges obsessed with influence and identity control, and he's on his way to becoming, the Charlie Manson that we know.
Danny Trejo called him a twerp.
That's what it was.
Twerp.
A little twerp.
A little twerp.
Okay, so
but he had mouthpiece though. Even in 1960, the guy had charisma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So by 67, he's perfected this hypnosis that he has over people.
So, by the way, one of the guys that he was, when he learned how to play the guitar, he was walking around playing the guitar. Yeah. And so this guy was in prison with him, and they were in the rec yard, and Manson was playing guitar. That same inmate that knew him at that time, well, one, he remembers the guards yelling at Manson saying, "You can't play the guitar over here. You have to get over here by the music." "What are you doing, Manson?" He'd like, "All right, man, all right." They said he was super flower child at that time.
Right.
And they said, very happy-go-lucky, wasn't angry, wasn't controlling.
Right.
So when he gets out like 5 years later or something and actually goes and finds Manson and with the family and meets him, he said absolutely not the same person.
Right.
He said he turned it. He was a tyrant.
Uh-huh.
He had all these people underneath his spell.
Yeah.
Was not nearly as the soft, loving flower child he was in prison.
That's fascinating. So he was a better person in prison than he was in the streets. I mean, look, the guy went through phases. The guy went through different eras of his life. He gets out in 67. He gets released March 21, 67. He moves to San Francisco during the Summer of Love. Now, this is crucial to understanding not only the Manson family, the Manson murders, but ultimately the MK Ultra, LSD, CIA link, okay? Summer of 67 is where he meets a lot of the women that end up being involved in the murders a couple of years later, okay?
Right.
So in the summer of 67, he's in San Francisco. He's on parole.
Yes.
He's on parole. His parole officer is legendarily lenient. I mean, this guy is violating all over the place, and the parole officer never sends him back to prison. But put a pin in that because we're going to come back to that at the end, okay? This is also the summer that he starts experimenting heavily with acid. He goes to the San Francisco Free Clinic in the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood, right? This is ground zero for the hippie movement.
Right.
For
LSD.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now, are you saying, when you're saying acid, you mean LSD?
I mean LSD.
LSD is it's the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
This is your birth year, 1967, I believe.
69.
69.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Didn't mean to date you. I know. So rude. Now he also, this is the era, this is the year that he meets members of the family and starts to form his cult. Should we read them off really quick?
Yes.
Number 1 is Charles Tex Watson. Number 2, Susan Atkins. Number 3, Patricia Krenwinkel. Number 4, Leslie Van Houten. Number 5, Linda Kasabian. Number 6, Mary Brunner. Number 7, Bobby Boussalet. Now, You're going to see
These
how
are-
these.
Can I mention that these are key? All of these people are key players.
Yes.
But in fact, Manson, on the average, had, I believe it was between 18 and 20 followers at any given time.
Wow.
We're only talking about these because these are key players
who end up being involved in the murders later on.
Yes. Just want to point that
That's
out.
wild.
There are more than this. There's many more than this.
Manson has like a big entourage.
Yes.
You know?
This is
And
a good sized cult.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I've heard that, in fact, I believe, you know, that some of the lead cult members are on record saying, I recall Charlie making us experiment with acid, but I don't remember him ever taking it himself when we were on it.
So here's what I heard. I had heard that they would sit around. They said they would do acid at least every other day during the week.
Right.
And they said that typically the members were heavily dosed, and that Charlie almost never was heavily dosed. Like he might take it, but a very light dose.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So they would see him take it, but you're taking 3 or 4 hits or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
He's taking 1.
Half a tab.
So he's much more in control of the conversation.
Exactly. And remember, they're getting LSD from, and I don't want to jump the shark here, but they are getting LSD from the San Francisco Free Clinic. You're going to want to remember that.
If you believe the conspiracy. Oh wait, you know what? Something else in the I saw with, because you know they talked to the guy, one of the owners, the owner of the clinic.
Right.
He said that they had done a poll. Did you see the poll? He says at one point we did a poll of over the course of like 90 days, and like 85% of the people that came to the clinic had experimented with LSD.
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
Not surprising
That's a lot.
at all. So it should also be pointed out around this time that Manson, they decide to leave San Francisco for the Spawn Ranch in L.A. You want to talk about that a little bit? The Spawn Ranch is outside. It's like Calabasas, Aurora Hills, so it's north of L.A.
Right.
It's not L.A. City, but it's L.A. County.
My understanding is it's only like 25 or 30 minutes outside, but they said it's night and day.
Oh,
like
it's deep out there.
So you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
25 minutes outside of LA is in the middle of nowhere.
It's beautiful. You're in the mountains, but you're not too far from the ocean to the west. It's very secluded.
Right. So
that property's very valuable. You know, one of the things that I never got to the bottom of it is who owned that ranch.
Yeah, I've heard the name of the guy that owns it. He was living there. Do you remember the movie Once Upon a Time
in Hollywood?
That really is the setup. The man that lived there, they really had a deal with him,
right,
where they took care of him.
He's like a sick old man.
He's a sick old man, but he's still. So it was a studio. At one point, it was a studio. They filmed westerns.
That's right.
But westerns had kind of died out.
By the late 60s, they were dying out.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was still the ranch. What they were still doing were they still had horses.
Yeah.
And they would rent the horses out, and they had trails you could go through. So the Manson family is actually running the ranch.
Right.
Taking people on tours with the horses, you never hear about this. Raising the horses, taking care of the guy, and I don't have his name. If I had known you were going to mention that, I would have gotten his name. But they're taking care of him because he's bedridden.
Yeah.
And they're taking care of him, running the ranch, and that's their agreement. We'll keep the place up, we'll run the ranch, and then we get to stay here.
That's right.
So
that's right.
It's very much like the movie.
You know, there was also a ranch out in Death Valley.
What's his name?
George Spann.
George Spann.
Right.
Right. George Spawn.
Spawn.
S-P-A-N, the Spawn Ranch. A lot of people don't know they also had a ranch out in Death Valley. Maybe it wasn't a ranch, but it was a place where they would go to, get away and chill out, right?
I watched a video on, and by the way, I only watch videos. I read almost very little.
Yeah.
Everything I know is from TikTok and YouTube videos, and I'm embarrassed about that. I'm as embarrassed about that as you can be, but I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
No,
anyway.
you're a poor reader. God gave you a special set of skills, Matt, but
that wasn't one.
Reading was not one. Reading from left to right was not one of them.
No, well, he knew if I make this guy 5'10", 5'11", and I make him a really good reader, he'll take over.
This guy's going to be a monster.
He'll take over.
Right.
You can't have that.
No, you can't have that.
You don't want me.
We already
You think Trump's nuts. You don't want me making the shots.
We already had Hitler, dude.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and he was a failed artist too. So
he went to art school just like you. They're running the ranch. They're running the Spawn Ranch. They're taking a lot of acid. They're free love. They're all fucking each other. Now, our man, Charlie, is in L.A. to pursue his music career, right? This is L.A. This is the home, the most recorded music in the world comes from L.A., and that might still be the case, but especially back then. It was rock and roll was exploding. And
the Beatles.
Beach
Boys.
The Beatles are a huge influence on Charles Manson. The Beach Boys, of course.
They were huge. They were slowly dying out. As the 60s wrapped up, they were kind of dwindling.
The Beach Boys were like a 50s, kind of 50s phenomena, but still they had the cachet.
And they're still all got a ton of money.
Yeah,
they actually had opened up a production company, and they were looking to produce albums.
Yeah, there you go. Charles Manson is pushing to get a record deal.
Right.
Like it is the one thing that he loved. Besides, the one positive thing that he loved in his life.
Had he gotten a music deal, by the way, things may have been much different.
Different. It was like the Hitler comparison with the art school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is what's going on. So he's pushing in his free time to get a music deal, but he's not doing this he's not going through the appropriate channels to do this. He's intimidating people left and right.
Well, and he's semi. Well, you're right. You're actually right. But so he's semi trying though. So let me give you an example. One of the things he did was he sent out all of the girls trying to look for contacts and whatever. You know what happens? 2 of them end up hitchhiking by accident with the drummer for the Beach Boys. Yeah. And his name is
Dennis Wilson.
Mm-hmm. So Dennis Wilson, without a doubt, was the best looking Beach Boy. Like he actually surfed, blonde hair, blue eyed, tall, thin, good looking. But they were all horrible alcoholics.
Oh, okay. And drug addicts.
So he picks up these 2 girls who are young.
Yeah.
Picks them up, brings them back to his house, has sex with them. He then says, "Look, I'm leaving. I have to go to whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but he had to go somewhere. I'll be back." It was like later tonight or tomorrow. Leaves them there, right? Yeah. Now, this is a summer of love, right? Like share everything and flowers. And so he was very trusting.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of people nowadays would leave 2 women you just picked up.
Right.
And in their house.
Right.
But he does.
And he lives in a nice house in the Pacific Palisades.
Yes.
He's right on the beach.
Yes. He leaves. When he comes back, as he's pulling in and getting out of his vehicle, Charlie Manson walks out of his house, walks up to him on the driveway. He gets out of his car and he says, and looking at Charlie, I don't know this. I'd never understood this interaction, but supposedly he says to Charlie, "Are you going to hurt me?" And he says, "No, man. I wouldn't. I would never, man." And he goes, and he gets on his knees and he leans down and he kisses Wilson's feet.
Wow.
And he's like, and he does the whole, "Whoa, we're all one, man.
Yeah.
We're just having fun. I'm here with the girls, man." And so the girls come running out of the house and they're like, "Oh my God, this is Charlie. We were telling you about it." And they all go back inside and there's more people inside having a party in his house.
Right.
And they basically party for the next 3 to 6 months.
Yes. They essentially took Dennis Wilson's house over.
Yes.
And he was too scared to put up a fight.
Right.
To ask them to leave.
Right.
And by the way, these were like filthy hippies.
Yeah.
They were drunks. They were poor. They were skinny.
Yeah, they
were disgusting. They were all fucked up on drugs. They weren't showering. They were a problem.
I'm sure they were showering now. They have a place to shower now.
Yeah, but I mean, look, it's disgusting. Like the level of filth is they just didn't have this is just the times, right? So this is also the time when Dennis Wilson's recording an album. So he starts recording an album at the house and they still don't leave.
Right. So this is also when Charlie Manson meets
Terry Melcher.
Yes, his Dennis Wilson's producer.
Yes, the music producer.
Yes. Did you know that they wrote songs together and that the
Beach Boys
actually record one of Charlie Manson's songs on the B-side of "Love It When I Know Shit He Doesn't Know"?
Wow.
One of the songs, Charlie had called it some. He had
the
one
B-side
name,
of what?
B-side of one of the
one of their albums.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
you can look at it because Manson had one name for the song. He sells him the song. They changed the name and a couple lyrics, which Charlie was upset about, and then they record it and they do not give him credit. Now, they say, we bought the song from you. We don't have to give you credit.
And did they? Did they pay him?
They did pay him. They did pay him. I mean, what they paid him, I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever it was,
the
he was
music
happy.
industry is notoriously shady.
Right. And I don't know that they didn't pay him a great sum of money, and he just had different expectations. They made this is Charlie's version of, they didn't pay me enough, and they were supposed to give me this, and who knows?
So Charlie was writing music with Terry Melcher?
Yes.
Wow.
And all of this. So also, do you know how he got them out of the house?
No.
He doesn't want to tell them to leave.
Yeah.
So he ends up leaving to go to Europe on tour or something, and he tells the landlord, evict them. Evict me out of the house.
Right.
Get us out of the house. Because he's too scared to tell all of these people to get out of their house. So he leaves, and then they just start the eviction process.
Right.
So, and keep in mind, it makes it sound like they're all, like there's 20 people living at the house. They're still at Spawn Ranch. They're just back and forth. They're just kind of in multiple. These are people that are couch hopping.
Couch surfing, exactly.
Couch surfing, sorry. What were you?
The original title that Manson actually had was called Cease to Exist, but the release version that the Beach Boys released was called Never Learn Not to Love from the album 2020.
Wow. So it sounds like Manson did have some ability to write music.
Yeah.
The problem came in when he told Melcher, hey, I want to sing music. I want to be the front man. I want to be a lead singer, right?
Right.
That's where things really took a turn for the worst.
Oh, so he actually was brought into I don't think with the Beach Boys. I believe it was another. So he actually gets multiple chances to kind of audition. And every audition, he fucks it up. He's not, keep in mind, he can play, but he's not traditionally educated on music.
Right.
So it's like, yo, man, like, and I listened to one of the recordings, not the whole recording, but they said that this was very typical of him. These guys would get in and they say, hey, do you have the music? Do you have your sheet music? Do you have no, man, like, can't we just I just come in and I do my thing, man. Like it was very loose for him. And they were, even though, of course, that's kind of the feel of music at the time, it's not really how it worked.
No, you still have to be structured. The trick is, it's just like comedy. The trick is to make it seem like you just thought of it. Right. But it's really something that's you've practiced and crafted.
Yes. And so what happens is he has a couple different I don't want to say tryouts, whatever. But auditions, thank you. Where he actually goes into the studio and they record the entire thing.
With Melcher.
I don't know. I don't know who that was with, but they record it, and it's just in the end they were like, he's just not recordable. Like he's not.
Right.
You have to understand that these studios, you think, oh, why can't they just record it and put it out? Like it's not YouTube, bro. It's not an iPhone and it's on the internet 20 minutes later. Like they have to invest a significant amount of money in editing and producing these albums. Then they have to print them, they have to distribute them, they have to advertise them, they have to put you on tour. And nobody, based on the way he behaved, was willing to put that kind of money, even though the people said he was semi-talented. Nobody said he was extremely talented. No. It was always like, he has some talent.
Right. But it just it's not
investable. You're not investable.
Right. But Terry Melcher is an extremely important character, maybe the most important character, because Manson, this is where it all goes wrong. Manson is pushing Melcher to get him a record deal. And again, you've got to remember, even though there are times when Manson says, he falls to Dennis Wilson's feet and kisses them, that's him being manipulative.
Yes.
Oh, man, it's all good. That's a lie.
Yeah.
He is already a sociopathic, narcissistic, violent human being at this point who knows exactly what he's trying to do. He intimidates people. There are
Which is
times
so funny, right?
it's wild
He's
because
tiny.
people feel it, but people feel it, but people feel it immediately. Like Dennis Wilson hopping out of his car and saying, "Are you going to hurt me?" Like when you go back and read the account, and people should go back if you want to read the most detailed account of that whole time. Read Chaos. It's called Chaos. People are scared of this guy. And they can't put their finger on it because, he's a tiny little guy. But I'm like, fuck, dude, you intimidate me.
It's something that the interviews consistently say he made them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He was intimidating.
Yeah.
And then when every time they're asked to describe him, he's tiny. He's a tiny little and to me, it's like it doesn't make sense to me that I could be intimidated by someone who's 5'3" and 100 pounds.
Yeah, but because humans go off energy. We're like dogs. We go off vibrations, and they're like, we can sense evil.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
humans just have that ability.
You have the innate. This person is dangerous.
Exactly. So, but being a classic LA move is to tell somebody, I'll get you a record deal. We'll get this. I'll take this to my the final decision maker at Columbia Records. I believe he was Melcher was most tied in with Columbia Records. Again, listeners can correct me, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. And so basically, he's kind of stringing Manson along, telling him,
but Manson doesn't know that. He doesn't. I mean,
not yet.
Manson's not. He's not. He doesn't know how Hollywood works. You can't trust any of these people.
No.
Can we, before we get too far into when it all goes bad, can we? I think we need to talk about Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Because I feel like the ideology ties in to everything that comes.
Okay.
Right. The Beatles end up releasing the White Album.
That's right.
And I want to say
1968.
Right. So I want to say it's it may be on side 2 or something. One of the songs is called Helter Skelter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Helter Skelter, if you were English, if you're from the UK, you would know what Helter Skelter is. It's a roller coaster. It's just, and if you listen to it, it talks about climbing to the top and diving down and being in the mud with the pigs. And like, it's kind of like, and I'm making that up. I don't know that it says that, but it does say going all the way to, and then it starts over again. And so it has this whole thing where it's like, if you know that it's a roller coaster, it makes sense to you. If you don't know, which Manson doesn't know, he takes it and he interprets the song Helter Skelter. He says the Beatles are talking to him and that Helter Skelter is a blueprint for the future race war between whites and blacks. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's the White Album.
Right.
It's all white. And so he interprets this whole thing to his little cult members or his little disciples that there is a coming war.
Apocalyptic race war between black and white Americans. And Manson claims that the conflict was foretold in the song Helter Skelter, which he interpreted as coded prophecy. According to Manson, society would soon collapse into chaos, and the Manson family would hide in the desert while the war raged.
Wait a minute.
When it ended, he believed black Americans, whom he viewed through racist stereotypes as incapable of leadership, would turn to him for guidance, allowing him to rule the world.
Delusional. So, but here's the thing. So he like you just said, he thought that the blacks would win the war. Yeah. And then, but they wouldn't have the mental capacity to lead society and run society. Wow. Not that there's any examples of that, but in Africa, I'm just joking. So anyway, in general, that's what he believed, and he believed that they would turn to to him to lead their society. But this is the part where we were talking about Death Valley.
Right.
Oh my God, bro.
Right.
Did you know that remember you said they had another area in Death Valley? Yeah. What they actually had in Death Valley was they consistently would travel to Death Valley because Manson said that once the apocalypse occurs, they would go there and they would hide in what he called the underground. And the entrance to the underground was in Death Valley. So they were actually going and scouring Death Valley, looking for the entrance to the underworld, where they would stay for, I don't know if it was 1,000 years or a couple hundred years or
Wow.
right, and that they would, and so this is where it goes into the Bible, where they would have like I forget what it was, but it's like 14 generations and 14 different tribes, and so he would live the whole time, and then they at some point when society had completely collapsed, they would then come out and he would rule. They would be the ruling party over the blacks for the rest of the world. I mean,
the guy was crazy.
He's got a hell of an imagination.
Totally. He should have been like a screenwriter, maybe not so much a musician.
Yeah, that
right?
might have been he missed it.
But this manifested in some shootings in Los Angeles. This race theory, this race war theory manifests in July 1969. Charles Manson shot Bernard Latsapapa Crow, a drug dealer and music associate in Hollywood, California. Manson believed Crow was a member of the Black Panther Party, a misconception that fueled his paranoia and later influenced his Helter Skelter race war narrative.
Okay, let me jump in here.
Yeah.
So, two things I want to mention. One is that first of all, how do you think Manson's making his money? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's face it, being a guru doesn't pay well.
No.
Unless your disciples have great jobs and they're kicking up a little bit to you. And these people clearly want. This is a cult of a bunch of broke people.
Yeah.
So what he's doing to make money is he's selling drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it was LSD. He's selling LSD, which is great because it actually kind of leads into your theory, right? The conspiracy part. So he's selling massive amounts of LSD. He is also stealing. He loves car theft.
Yes, has since he was a kid.
Yeah. He is stealing specifically Volkswagen Bugs because they can be converted by the cult members into dune buggies. Right. And then he can sell the dune buggies. And let's face it, dune buggies, they're out in the desert. You can keep them on your ranch. There's lots of ranches. This is just a thing, right? And it's all profit. So he's stealing them for nothing. They're fixing them up and they're selling them, but they have a bunch of dune buggies or half chopped up Volkswagens in Spawn Ranch.
Yep.
So we got two things. He's mixed up in drugs. He's mixed up in car theft.
Guns too.
Yeah. Well, no, they definitely have guns.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that one of the people that he's selling drugs to is Latsapapa.
Right.
Which Latsapapa tells people. I love the name that. I love that.
Latsapapa.
Yeah. One of the things that this guy is telling everyone is that he's a Black Panther, or at the very least, he's associated with the Black Panthers.
Right.
Not true. Completely bullshit. But it's probably used as kind of intimidation. Manson and Latsapapa, during a drug deal, get into a huge argument. There's multiple things. Does Latsapapa think that he's been ripped off? Does he think the drugs are no good? We don't know. We know that there was an argument, and Manson pulls out a .22 and he shoots him in the shoulder, right? Mm-hmm. And Latsapapa hits the ground. Manson leaves.
Manson assumes he's dead.
He thinks he's dead. And here's the thing. A couple days later, the body of a Black Panther is found. And there's a newspaper article about how this Black Panther was found dead. And so when Manson reads it, he thinks that's Latsapapa.
Right.
In the article, they speak with the Black Panthers who vow revenge for the murder of one of their members. And now Manson's scared. Yeah. He thinks that's Latsapapa. It's absolute because he only really knows Latsapapa by this nickname. Yeah. He thinks, holy shit, I killed this guy, and they're gonna find me.
Right.
He goes out and
shouldn't have killed Latsapapa.
Yeah. And Latsapapa survives, by the way, and unlike the Black Panthers, he's one of the key witnesses at Manson's trial.
Right.
So
that all came back on him. Right. Yes, and also, by the way, this is like Manson's race war. Now he's really thinking I'm right about this race war that's about to happen.
Right, and he definitely wants the race war to happen because he's scared. He's scared. What he actually does is he hires, and it didn't really hire him, so he doesn't have any real money. He didn't really hire him, but he goes to, and I forget the name of the motorcycle group. It's like
either the Mongols, the Hells Angels,
like
or the Sons of Satan.
Sons of Satan, but it's not, I don't think it's similar. Just find out what the name of it, because it's similar to the Sons of Satan. It may be the Sons of Satan, but I don't think so. But I think it's something like that. he asked them to come to the ranch and stay at the ranch as kind of protection.
Right.
And he's got them semi-convinced of the race war.
Yeah.
They know that they think the Black Panthers will be coming for the family.
Right.
And so they're there. They're able to stay there. He's providing them with drugs. He's providing them with girls.
Yeah.
Yes.
The straight Satans.
The straight Satans.
The straight Satans.
Yes. I don't know.
They're gay. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
In the
don't know
great
if they're-
irony, they all love to suck and fuck each other. Wow.
So they're actually planted in different areas around the ranch.
Right.
And they have something called I'm probably saying it. It's like a ranch phone. So I think of it as a walkie-talkie, but they don't really call them. Or I would think they call them walkie-talkies. So they're basically like phones that are they're all over the place. You could pick it up and talk to the main ranch because they don't have cell phones.
Right.
Maybe it's a cord. I don't
Yeah,
know. They're
yeah.
called they're like ranch phones. And so these guys are staked out around. I mean, this is how extensive it is. You know, they always make it sound like he's crazy, which he is crazy. This is the whole thing. It's all a mistake. It's all a humbug, right? It's just he read the wrong article. So he definitely thinks it's coming. He's got security.
Yeah.
But the security's also breaking down because these guys are eating them out of house and home. They're
Right.
fucking his girls. They're drinking all of his fucking drugs.
Right.
And the Black Panthers are not showing up. So he decides he needs money. So one of the things he does is he goes to what's the name of the guy? He goes to
Gary Hinman.
He goes to Gary Hinman.
Cue Gary Hinman. This is key to the story.
Yes. So Gary Hinman is he's a
music teacher.
He's a music teacher.
Former music teacher of Bobby Beausoleil. And if
Thank
you'll
you.
remember, he is one of the Manson family, a key Manson family perpetrator.
Perpetrator? You mean a member?
Yeah.
He's kind of like he's a member. So So Bobby Beausoleil at one point befriends him. He comes out to this family. He's one of the family.
Yeah, he stayed at the home. He helped them financially. They shared drugs, food, shelter, etc.
Right.
He's a friend to the family.
Yeah,
you
he's a
could say.
contributor.
Yes.
So here's the issue.
But he's also a drug dealer.
Yes. Well, they're all kind of drug dealers.
Yeah.
So
He lives in Topanga Canyon, so not too far from the Spawn Ranch.
So here's the problem. During this time, Manson needs money. Hinman ends up getting an inheritance.
That's right. He got an inheritance of about like $40,000.
40 grand.
Yeah.
So Manson finds out about this, and he goes to him and he tells him. Well, first he sends a couple of the members to him.
Bobby, Susan Abbott, and Mary Brunner to the house to pressure him.
Atkins, Susan Atkins.
That's right.
The Susan Atkins. She's important. So
So they basically is a shakedown.
Yeah,
It was essentially a shakedown.
Yeah, and listen, they're not going there like asking for money. They go there, they tie him up like we're talking about like I don't think duct tape was a thing at that time, but they basically essentially duct tape him to a chair. They're trying to get him.
They tied him up and they slashed Hinman's ear with a sword.
Right. So I had heard.
By the way, how do you let a couple of small girls tie you up?
Well, Bobby's there.
But I guess Bobby is
and
there,
if he's
right?
got a weapon, he has a weapon, right?
Yeah.
He's toting a pistol.
Right.
So, well, here's the thing. Manson shows up, and this is the problem. I've heard this over and over again, and then I saw the actual bust. And so what I've heard is that Manson shows up when he won't give up the money. Manson shows up to show everybody how it's done, and he cuts his ear off with a sword. But that's actually what happened. If you look at it, what he actually did, if you look at the bust, he hits him with the sword,
Right.
and it chops part of his ear in half, and it also cuts him right here. So he doesn't. In my mind, I always thought he went
It's
like
not
this.
a clean.
It's not like he lopped his.
Yeah,
He
right.
just happened to hit
Right.
him there. But
Right.
Manson tells them, keep putting pressure on him.
Yeah.
Have him give up the money. And this is in dispute. Manson says this isn't what he said. But Atkins says this is what he said, is that he said if he doesn't come up with the money, kill him. Now, whatever, that's in dispute.
That's what Susan Atkins said Charlie Manson said to them.
Yes, but in the end, it doesn't matter. They put pressure on him for the next 2 days.
Kept him tied up for 2 days, torturing him, pressuring him, beating him.
He does not come up with the money, by the way, and they shoot him in the head. They then take his blood, because remember, they want to use this as a way to kind of spark the race war.
That's right.
The Helter Skelter race war. So they take his blood and they write some stuff on the walls.
Political piggy.
Yeah, and-
Political piggy written in blood and a Black Panther paw print on the wall. So not only are they trying to throw the cops off their scent and blame it on the Black Panthers, it's part of Manson's race war. However, it didn't work because Beausoleil was arrested shortly after the murder while driving Hinman's car. This murder became the first homicide directly tied to the Manson family and ultimately provided investigators with the thread that unraveled the larger conspiracy behind the Tate Labianca murders.
Yes.
Now, just for chronology's sake, the Hinman murder took place in July 27th of 1969, 10 days before the Tate murders at 10050 Cielo Drive.
All right. Well, let's assume nobody knows who the Tates are.
Exactly.
Or what the Tate murders.
So Sharon Tate was the it girl of that era. She was the most beautiful girl. I mean, I remember first reading about Tate and going back and watching some of her movies, and she was as beautiful now. Like, she would be like the sex symbol now.
Right.
That's how hot she was. She was like the starlet. She was the Sydney Sweeney of the 1950s and 60s.
Right.
Okay. Like, she was the most famous female movie star in the world. Okay. She was married to
Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
Yes.
Now disgraced. He's currently still alive, living in exile in Poland. That's where he was born and raised. He's Polish.
Right.
And he was convicted in the 70s of raping, statutorily raping a 14-year-old girl. Jack Nicholson was in the house. This was right after they had filmed Chinatown.
Okay.
That was also a Polanski movie. So, and by the way, Polanski is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well,
Polanski's he beats Sharon Tate. He's very manipulative. He's neglectful, cheating. He's flying all over the world, scouting movies. Sharon Tate's very unhappy at this point.
Right. But she's also between 8 and 9 months pregnant.
That's right. She's carrying Polanski's child, and she is about to have the kid.
Right.
Now, they are living up at 10050 Cielo Drive. So that's Bel Air area. Bel Air, Beverly Hills area, to give people an idea of, the location. I mean, this is like Hollywood, movie star Hollywood.
Yes.
So coincidentally, that's so important because Terry Melcher, who Manson has been trying to get a record deal from,
right,
used to live at the house.
Right.
He lived at the house until 1968.
Right.
This is a rented house.
Right. The producer, the Beach Boys producer. That's how he knows him.
That's right. And Manson has been up to the house. And this house is a ton of shady characters. Again, if you go read Chaos, they go into great detail about it. But the house had tons of sketchy people coming in and out. A lot of drug dealers, a lot of drugs, many different artists, right? Again, Manson at this time, August 8th, 1969, didn't know that Melcher was no longer living there.
Right. He still wants a record deal. He goes to the house, knocks on the door, looking for Melcher.
Right.
Sharon Tate answers the door. He obviously knows who Sharon Tate is.
Of course.
So he sees her. He says, "Is Melcher here?" She says, "No. This is now the Polanski residence."
That's right.
He moved. I don't know what his new address is, but you could ask the caretaker who lived in a house behind the main house. So Manson goes in the back. He knocks on the guy's door. The guy comes and the guy says, no, he moved. He moved out to whatever, Malibu or wherever, somewhere on the whatever. And he says, I don't have the address. And then he basically tells Manson, like, listen, don't come around here again. You're
not welcome.
You're not welcome.
Again, he got that vibe.
Yeah.
He got that vibe from this guy.
You're bothering the tenants. Like, don't come around.
Right.
So Charlie, Manson leaves.
That's when he discovers it.
Right. But he knows where these people live now.
Right.
He knows who's there, and he knows she's famous.
That's right. So this is in the back of his mind, and I'm not sure the date that happened. Do you know when he went up there?
No, I don't know if it's before the first murder or
I believe it's before the Hinman murders.
Right, but he knows they're there.
That's right.
He knows these. So
that's right. And he was if you were in those kind of circles, everybody kind of knew about the Cielo Drive house. Polanski's always gone. Sharon Tate is there. She's always got a couple of people around her, right?
They
just killed him. Just killed Hinman.
Beausoleil has been arrested.
Right.
Driving the car. Manson realizes I can get him off if it looks like, because right now he got arrested for the car, but they think this is the guy that murdered Hinman. He's driving his car. He must have murdered him.
Right.
So they've now charged him for the murder. Manson thinks, you know what I can do? I can get him off if I can continue if I can give him an alibi if the same type of murder occurs. And it meets twofold. One, it gives him an alibi. Basically, it says, hey, you've got the wrong guy because there's still somebody out there killing. And two, of course, it ends up helping to further his agenda of sparking Helter Skelter.
But explain that further. How would murdering Sharon Tate and writing Piggy in blood on the wall, just like at the Hinman residence, how would that exonerate Beausoleil?
Because he's locked up. If it happens while he's locked up, I couldn't have been part of the first murder.
Yeah, you see?
I'm in prison. It just happened again.
Wow.
That's part of why Manson thinks, hey, we got to get him out of jail.
Right. Because he was like a leader. Beausoleil, he needed men.
Yeah.
You know, like the women were to be controlled, not to lead in the cult.
And the other thing too is that these guys like Tex, Watson, and Beausoleil is that they don't question. They're not trying to take over. They're foot soldiers.
That's right.
Which one of the interviews I had seen with one of the family members, by the way, who wasn't involved, but she was there when it all happened.
Right.
She specifically said that that's a problem, right? Like you get some members in there, and before you know it, they're kind of trying to take control. She's like, none of these guys did that.
Yeah.
They basically did whatever Charlie said.
Right.
So he needs guys like that. He wants to get this guy out of jail.
That's right. So wow, it's brilliant and sickening. So he's going to go
kill someone
and frame it and tell the lawyer, hey, look at Beausoleil's got an alibi.
Right.
These are
he
a
wants
pattern.
to do this anyway, though.
He wants to do this.
Anyways. It's happening no matter what.
He wants to kill. Now,
he wants to spark this whole war.
So before we move on, do you think Manson is a serial killer? Not by definition.
No. Right.
Not by definition, technically, because we know, you explained to me yesterday that a serial killer is three separate murders of the kind of the same nature, right?
But they should just be three separate events, right? That are unconnected. Like these are three separate people that are unconnected. It's not the same event where it's like you're trying to kill.
It's not a mass shooting,
right.
whatever.
Like let's say you had 4 witnesses against you in a trial, and you kill them at 3 different or 4 different occasions throughout the year. You say, well, that's 4 different events. That's over 3 events. Yeah, no.
But it's all connected to one reason.
These have to be completely separately connected.
Right. So, kind of by that definition, Manson is not really a serial killer.
No, but he's
a psychopath and a killer.
Dangerous. He is, but not to say that he's not extremely dangerous.
Of course. But there's a real purpose behind this beyond the end is not killing.
Yeah.
The end is sparking the race war and going to the desert and hiding out for 1,000 years and crazy. But these murders are a tactic.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
There's a method to the madness.
That's right. Okay. Why do you think they waited 9-10 days after the Hinman murder?
I mean, it could have been Manson went to see him. Could have been he talked to the lawyer.
Yeah.
Could have been they were waiting to see what happened. Could have been that Beausoleil was. Am I saying his name right?
Yeah, Beausoleil.
Yeah, that Beausoleil was charged, and it this is going to happen no matter what. Right? This is going to he's going to start killing these people to try, and who knows what sparked it for that night.
Right.
But Charlie is upset because the one murder and didn't spark the war.
Right.
So that's when he tells that's when he orders the murder of
Sharon Tate.
And really he's not even that. He just says
whoever's up there,
go to the fucking house.
Yeah.
Kill everyone.
He didn't have a personal problem with Sharon Tate.
No.
He didn't have a personal problem with Roman Polanski. I don't even think he knew Roman Polanski. His problem was with Melcher. If he had a personal beef, it was with Melcher. But at this time, Melcher was kind of on the run from him. Like, Melcher was not picking up his calls. He had changed addresses, right? And the reason he probably moved out is because he was scared of Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
And he was trying to, already by 1968, when he left the Cielo Drive house, he was ducking Charlie because he didn't want to give a guy a record deal, right?
It's just like Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. They're running away.
I'm leaving, evict them. He doesn't even want to be involved.
Right, exactly.
And this is not a small guy.
On August 8th, 1969, Charles Manson ordered Charles Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian to go to the 10050 Cielo Drive house and destroy everyone in it as gruesomely as possible. That's end quote. To destroy everyone in it as gruesomely as possible. The group showed up at the house on the night of August 8th and brutally stabbed and shot 5 people: Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski, and Stephen Parent. After the killings, the attackers wrote messages like "pig" in the victim's blood.
Right.
So, and we can go into a little more detail about it. What Sharon Tate was begging for her life.
Yeah.
You know a little bit more about the gruesome.
So Tex Watson, he doesn't want to go in the front gate. They were going to jump the front gate, but he felt it might be electrified.
Right.
I don't think these guys are that sharp. So they go kind of around to the side. They jump over like a fence area where it's got hedges. They jump over that. They cut the phone lines, and they go in through as they approach, it turns out that Stephen Parent was in his vehicle and he was leaving. So he was visiting the caretaker and he's driving up the drive and they stop him and they stab him and shoot him.
Right.
He's dead. But this is a distance from the house.
Right.
So the gunshots aren't heard. They then find an open window and the cult members climb in through that window and they immediately attack everyone in the house.
Right.
They do have a weapon. They have one gun.
Firearm, and the rest have knives. Right.
They tie up Sharon Tate and what is the guy's name they share? They tie up
Jay Sebring.
Okay. They tie up the two of them and the Folgers
Abigail
Folger, she runs. She actually gets out of the house. And I believe it's Atkins, chases her down and stabs her to death in the yard. Something like 30 times. Right. So she dies. They then end up killing Jay Sebring.
Mm-hmm.
They kill
Wojciech
Frykowski. And in front of Sharon Tate, by the way.
That's right. Sharon Tate's the last to be killed.
She's tied up with a rope around her neck, and she is begging. She begs for her life. And as she's begging for her life, she ends up begging that, please, can I just stay alive long enough to have my baby? And that's when, is it Susan Atkins, I believe?
Yes.
Looks at her and says, I have no sympathy for you. And then they stab her to death. They stab her and her child to death. They stab her in the stomach. And the two of them lie there. They stab her, a couple dozen times. Yeah. And Sharon Tate has to sit there knowing that her baby is bleeding to death and has been butchered and that she bleeds to death. And they both die.
Yeah.
And then they smear, in their blood, they smear all these things, pig on the wall.
Yeah.
I think they might have, at this point, they don't, at this one, no. I think this is the one where they do write Helter Skelter. It's either this one or the next murder. They write Helter Skelter on, it's the next one. It's the next one.
Right.
So they write, so here's the problem. When they leave and they go back to the ranch and they describe what happened to Manson, he is upset because Abigail Folger had almost gotten away. So he basically is like, you guys are incompetent.
Nothing's ever good enough for this guy.
No, he's not happy. Yeah. So what he says is, I'm going with you on the next one.
Right.
And so the following day, he goes with them.
Now, they head over to Los Feliz, as the idiots in Los Angeles pronounce it. Los Feliz is on the east side. It's the, I would call it the Beverly Hills, the Bel Air of the east side of Los Angeles. Beautiful neighborhood. They head over there to the house of Leno and Rosemary Labianca. Now, before we talk about these murders, can you explain who these people are?
So
who this family is?
the Labiancas owned a chain of grocery stores, and Manson knew where they lived and who they were because he and the family had been shoplifting from them,
Yeah.
And the problem is, unlike most of the grocery stores, these people were actually pressing charges.
Right. So they would get caught. Most grocery stores just kick you out.
Yeah, they take the stuff
Yeah.
back. They kick it. Like, it's not like they stole something worth $1 or $2. Like,
Right.
just get their stuff back. Just get out of here.
Right.
Don't come back. Well, they were consistently going to these grocery stores, and they had been arrested several times.
Yeah.
And these are minor. Back then, this is not a huge charge,
No.
right? Like, these people that are committing rapes and murders and car theft, like, they're not going to jail for very long. So if you grab a loaf of bread, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But he was upset because they were continually pressing charges.
Right.
And they had been banned from the grocery stores. So
That's
now
it.
they're even not really being able to go into the grocery stores and continue to steal.
Right.
So he ends up finding out where they live. Now, maybe it was on a police report. I don't know. But he had the address, and he'd been in the neighborhood and checked out the house. So he
Right.
had the address, and that's why he decided to kill them next.
That's right. And I think what do you think his thought process was? Okay, we need to commit one more sets of these murders to really convince the cops that it's the Black Panthers. Is he still trying to get out? He's still trying to get Bussolé out of prison.
Killing the Labiancas.
Yeah.
That's, once again, I get to, it's another piece, it's another tool to help get out Bussolé. And also, these people, like, any charges that are out there, they get dropped, right? Like, we're no longer any little charges out there. So it's got multiple. Most of these have multiple things.
motivations.
Multiple. But thank you. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I'm getting all fucked up. Multiple motivations. That's great. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's tough to say. I
think he would have continued.
Yeah, he probably would have continued. I think, he does want to continue his race war. I think now he's tasted blood with the Tates. And again, I think that's if we want to call him a serial killer for a sec, or a killer, they all have that first taste of blood.
Yeah. Well,
or maybe they didn't mean to. Right.
He's also nobody showed up.
Nobody showed up. No.
We just killed this. I shoot this one guy. Nobody showed up.
Right.
I order we kill this guy. Nobody showed up. We kill we go in and do the Tate murders.
Yeah.
Nobody shows up.
Right. It was the tipping point.
Yeah.
It was the tipping point to now it's on.
Right.
So whatever the motivation was, I think it was a combination of all of that. On the night of August 9th, 1969, Manson himself drove Tex Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, and Linda Kasabian to the home of the Labiancas in Los Feliz. Manson entered first, woke the couple up at gunpoint, tied them up, and reassured them that they would not be harmed, then left, ordering his followers to carry out the killings. Watson stabbed Leno Labianca repeatedly with a bayonet and carving fork. Dude, where are you getting a bayonet from? Are you at a Civil War reenactment often? He stabbed Leno Labianca repeatedly with a bayonet and a carving fork. Rosemary Labianca was stabbed dozens of times by Krenwinkel and Van Houten. Afterward, the killers carved phrases like Helter Skelter, Rise, and Death to Pigs into the walls and their flesh, and the flesh of the Labiancas, deliberately staging the scene to suggest revolutionary violence. So with that in mind, it does seem like they're trying to pin this on the Black Panthers. To say like death to pigs, like death to the police, right? That's what they called the pigs in the 60s.
Yeah. And Rise.
Right, exactly. So it does seem like that is the primary motivation, is to spark the race war, get Bussolé out of prison, and to deflect from them. They're trying to get away with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're trying to pin this on their enemy, the op, which in Manson's mind is the Black Panthers. Unlike the Tate murders, this crime was meant to be louder, messier, and more ideological. A clear escalation designed to convince the world that Helter Skelter had begun. Wow. So they weren't out that long, but I want to point out, it was, several months of them on the loose, right? Mm-hmm. Hollywood was terrified. The town was terrified. And it made international press. It's hard to appreciate now for people listening. You're completely disconnected from it, but it was that era's O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In terms of the magnitude and the scandal and the celebrities involved in the murder and getting murdered.
They immediately go out and they buy guns. They get guard dogs.
Yes,
Did you hear about that?
yes.
I always the guard dogs.
Yeah.
I don't understand the guard dogs, but
Well, the bark.
yeah. Well, maybe bark or I was just when I always think of weapons. You go get a gun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have a pit bull, but he's not doing anything.
Yeah, he's too sweet.
He's harmless.
He's too sweet. Yeah, so people are fucked up over this, right? According to the research, the Tate murders at Cielo Drive and the Labianca murders in Los Feliz initially appeared unrelated. Different neighborhoods, victims, and police jurisdictions with no clear suspect and intense media pressure. So it sounds like Manson's attempt to pin this all on the Black Panthers and make this all look like it wasn't Beausoleil that could have killed Hinman. It sounds like that didn't really work, according to my research.
Well,
right?
I mean,
because the police did not put together, and this could have just been the 60s police work. This is also 60s police work.
Yeah, these are different jurisdictions. It does take them a while to put it together.
Right,
but you have to think it's not like the police are immediately gonna release. Oh, look! So there's another one. Release him. Like that. That's something that when he goes to trial or at some point before trial or something, he's still driving a stolen car.
Yeah,
he's still got to kind of. It's still like you're connected somehow, but at least this gives him some type of an out in the future.
Yeah.
And they're still putting it. They do not immediately kind of put this together, but they do put it together.
I see.
That these are connected.
Yeah.
They do realize eventually, after a few weeks or a month or so, they say, okay, this is definitely connected.
Right.
And that's when, of course, it hits. There's, like you said, it's everywhere. It's in the newspapers. It's all over the place. But this is where what really breaks it for them. Because keep in mind, they have no idea who has done this. They have no idea at all.
No.
And
ironically, Manson himself now has not been arrested for anything in a couple of years.
Yeah.
He's not, he's not obviously connected enough. Now, look, if you asked Terry Melcher at the time, he would have been like, oh, you should look into this guy, Charles Manson. But, he's not, they're not talking to him,
right. So this is months later.
October.
Yeah. The Spawn Ranch gets raided.
That's right.
Now, you would think, like, oh, they raided it for the murders. No.
No, actually, October 1969, Susan Atkins was arrested during a raid at Barker Ranch.
Oh, Barker
Ranch.
I'm sorry. That's you're right. That's the other place.
So they're hiding out in Death Valley.
But they get arrested because of the stolen dune bug or the stolen Volkswagen
That's
bugs.
Right.
They're in possession of stolen.
That's right.
Of stolen vehicles.
Yeah.
And so they all end up going to jail.
Yep. Exactly. They were also charged with burning equipment on federal land. Shortly afterwards, Atkins was formally charged with the July 1969 murder of Gary Hinman based on emerging evidence tying her to the crime.
Yes, her bloody thumbprint in the blood.
These guys were not.
They're not brilliant.
These guys were not brilliant. They were not cleaners.
Yeah.
As we used to call the hitters back in the drug game. These guys left a lot of shit behind. So they basically got her dead to rights on the thumbprints.
Yeah, she's done. And plus, she's also connected to Beausoleil. She's connected to him.
Exactly.
Who knows if she was in that vehicle at any point in time, if her fingerprints are in that vehicle.
Yeah.
Either way, they've got enough evidence that says you were at least in these rooms and connected.
Right.
You're like, oh, I don't know anything about that murder. Your thumbprint is on the door,
both
dipped in blood from the dead guy.
It's like you were giving a thumbprint in blood. It was like you were at the police station giving your fingerprint. That's how dumb you were. And it gets dumber, Matt. While incarcerated in the Los Angeles County Jail awaiting trial on the Hinman murder, Atkins boasted to fellow inmates that she had participated in the Tate murders. God damn it. Oh, keep your fucking mouth shut. She spoke openly about the killings, named Charles Manson, and described the Helter Skelter motive behind the violence. Shocked inmates reported her statements to authorities. They were shocked, and they were also like, Ooh,
Oh, yeah,
give me
yeah.
a time
Yeah, I
cut.
got
Give me a
this.
time cut. Give me a time cut. Yeah.
This is a get out of jail free card.
This is the problem with having women in your cult. Yes, they're easier to control, but god damn it, they don't shut the fuck up.
When she was arrested, I believe that he was also
Yes,
arrested.
Manson was already locked up.
Yeah,
That's
they're,
right.
They're both arrested. So
That's
they're
right.
both in jail. She just is the one who's running her mouth.
That's right. The Tate murder arrests and the charges came in late November. So they're sitting in jail for about a month after she tells the inmates that she was involved in the Tate murders before they're formally charged. Then the case really unraveled when Linda Kasabian flipped. She
Right.
turned state's evidence in December 1969. Her detailed testimony about Manson's commands, planning, and intent unified the murders into a single conspiracy. And I believe she made a deal to avoid the death penalty. So
Which is funny because they all
avoided the death penalty.
So what was the real benefit to her?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe she thought she was going to get out eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Linda Kasabian,
at that time, she's probably just avoiding the death penalty. But then
Right.
it turns out that, anyway, I mean, they're all found guilty and
Right.
they get the death penalty. But
Linda Kasabian ended up dying in prison.
oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the whole thing is that at some point, the Supreme Court of California decides that the death penalty is unconstitutional, or it's cruel and unusual punishment, and then or is it the governor?
It's the governor.
The governor, I'm sorry.
They just keep the same thing in Oregon. They just for some reason won't actually take it to the courts. So what the governors do, they've been doing this now for generations. They just refuse to. Every execution they give a stay on it.
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the last person to allow somebody to get executed. It was Tookie Williams, the founder of the Crips, and that was in like 2002. So they de facto don't even have it. But back then they did have it. They had death row. This was the 70s, dude. They were executing people back then. They had on San Quentin, they have death row. So it was, it was a possibility that they could have received it. Now with Charles Manson, they argued insanity. There were, I guess, some circumstances, but I don't exactly know why. I mean, he kept appealing it and appealing it and appealing it.
Well, because in his mind, he's saying, I didn't tell anybody to kill anybody, but it's a conspiracy. And some of the girls are saying no, he didn't say it, and some are saying he did. And the fact is that it's a conspiracy.
Right.
It's a conspiracy.
Right.
And you were the head of it, and these women were doing what you told them to do, and nobody believes that you didn't say to kill these people.
Exactly.
And so he died in prison.
So the trial begins in June of 1970. Now,
What if you want to talk about what a freak show that was?
yeah. So Vincent Bugliosi is the DA on the case, right? And he is this flamboyant LA district attorney who's in love with the press. He's in love with the attention. He's got political ambitions. He is a liar. He's a liar. Buries a ton of evidence that links Charles Manson to the MK Ultra program, for instance.
And this is all according to the book Chaos.
That's right.
Okay.
Chaos. But let's talk about the case a little bit. If you find the trial interesting, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I only find it interesting because Manson, every time he would do something, like he would shave his head, and then the next day, all of the female defendants would show up with shaved heads. He would cut a swastika in his forehead, and the next day, all of them would do the same thing.
Yeah.
They would come in holding hands and singing. All three of these girls, like it was the bizarrest thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'd stand up in the courtroom and start singing songs. And
No, it was now. Do you think that was to try to make them get an insanity?
no, I don't think it was I don't think it was that. I think
They were really crazy. They were
They
really
were just
insane.
trying to show solidarity, and I think they still kind of believed in what Manson was saying.
Right.
Almost like if you believe the conspiracy in the Timothy McVeigh case, where Timothy McVeigh, up until he's to the moment they're strapping him in for the lethal injection, he's still thinking to himself that they're going to whisk him away.
Right.
These girls are still thinking that somehow or another divine intervention is going to save them, and there's going to be there really is going to be a race war. And whatever.
Right. So they really were controlled. Their minds were controlled by Charles Manson.
It actually, I believe it took like years before a lot of them started breaking ranks and saying,
before it wore off.
Right. What was I doing? What was happening?
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned that, there's plenty of video footage of them talking to Susan Atkins and other members of the family in prison as older people, right? They're talking about decades later who do kind of seem like they've normaled out.
Yes.
They've normalized, right? And they do, I think they do have remorse for it.
Yeah, no, you could tell it's killing her when she has to, talk about the Tate murders and what happened. It's you could tell she's eaten up with guilt, almost to the point where she's basically almost. I almost felt like she's borderline getting up and walking out of the parole hearing, like that, because there's video of her doing where you could hear her when she's saying it. It's everything in her to not break down and cry when she's, And I'm not saying that that means you get to go home, but I don't know, but it's just look, when you're a young person, the things that you do are.
She was 19 years old.
Yeah, you're
like that.
You're desensitized. You're just a stupid fucking kid.
Yeah,
and
your frontal lobe is not developed.
Right, and then now you're 45 or 55 years old, and you look back and you think, "What the fuck were you doing? What were you thinking?"
Right.
Like it's horrific when you look back on the things that you did.
Well,
as a child.
especially when you're under that kind of mind control and drugs. And again, these are abandoned people. Like if you go back and read who Susan Atkins was and Van Houten and Krenwinkel and how they grew up, they were abandoned. They had childhoods comparable to Charles Manson. That's why these people find each other. And so you say, okay, that person was a different person. Like if you look back 30 years after you did these crimes, sitting in prison, you're like, oh, I'm a different individual. It's like you're looking at a stranger.
It's horrific. Like these people have, when you say, this person's, they don't have anybody. No, these people had, they had nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah. So of course he appealed to them. He's taking care of them. Yeah. He's giving them drugs.
Yeah.
He's putting a roof over their head, and they don't have anybody else. But I mean, I'm not saying they're not horrific. What they did is horrible.
Yeah. I don't have the answer. I don't have the solution. If I'm on the parole board, and this person served 40 years in prison, I don't know. It's tough, man. I think about that baby getting killed. I think about Sharon Tate getting stabbed in the stomach,
bro. It's like, and
I can't even.
No.
I don't know.
I want to see if you had that discussion with me and those people were in front of me right then, even knowing that they were a part of that, it'd be like, nah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
40 years ago, I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck. You know?
Yeah. And I think what good is it? That person is broken. Susan Atkins, just using her as an example, their lives won't be worth much on the outside. So it's like, and again, how are you supposed to move on? It's kind of like how we talked about with pedophiles and child molesters. Why are you going to let them out when they're just going to have to commit crime just to support themselves because their lives are destroyed in the free society?
Yeah.
So, somebody like Susan Atkins, she's got a routine. She's got 3 hots and a cot. She's got a job out there. Maybe she, is helping people on the inside, but I don't know. It doesn't really do any good to spring her loose at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I think about it. So, but this is the 2-year trial. Practically a 2-year trial. Yes, 1970 to 1972.
Wow.
So the outcomes, guilty verdicts across the board. John, while I read these out, can you please look up what happened to Linda Kasabian? I said a few minutes ago that she ended up dying in prison. I believe I was wrong. Susan Atkins died in prison. 2009, she died. Krenwinkel got life. Her parole hearings are denied and have been denied for decades and decades and decades. Van Houten, the youngest one, she was paroled in 2023 after, decades. She was the youngest one and the driver, and I don't think as much of a participant, but she was 17, so she was a minor when this happened. So that's why they did grant her, and I can kind of see that. Yeah. I can kind of be okay with that, I think. And then Tex Watson, he ain't never getting out, nor should he. Life.
Right.
Parole denied. So, and then of course, Charles Manson very recently died. Very
Yeah.
recently died in prison. And obviously he had a ton of fanfare, and everybody knows that, right? He
yeah.
got married in there, and chicks are, falling in love with him.
No, I don't think he did get married.
Maybe he didn't get, but he got proposals all the time
Yeah,
from
he
women
actually
writing
was
him in.
supposed to get married, and just before, the wedding, like the next day, I think he called it off.
He's like, dude, I got cold feet, man.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know.
He's like, I might get out of here, and like I'm a young man still, and like, what if I want to sleep around? And
I always love that
that's how funny men are. We're so non-committal. Even doing life with no parole, we're like, I don't want to be tied down.
I always like the Hitler comparison when they say Hitler for almost a decade, for like 7 years, was at war with the entire world. He's in the bunker.
Yeah.
He marries Ava Braun, and the next morning commits suicide.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. It's like, I can't take this, dude.
Yeah, I can't do the stress.
Just,
What was she like?
oh, man.
That was horrible. It would have been 24 hours.
Crazy.
Can't do it.
Yeah, so Linda Kasabian actually received full immunity from prosecution.
Wow.
How are you wrong?
God, I was way off. I'm
And,
sorry, people. I'm trying to
well-
read facts and be entertaining at the same time.
She entered witness protection, changed her name, avoided media and interviews, and then died at 73 in 2023.
Wow. So she lived a long, healthy life. Now, can we go back and see what her involvement was? Can we go back to let's start with the Tate murders. Was she there at the Beausoleil house?
According to this, she only drove them to the Tate murders and acted as a lookout.
I see. Okay.
Did not kill anyone.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
if she had killed anybody, I don't think that would have
So
happened.
she was a driver and a lookout. Got it. So you look, if I'm Bugliosi, if I'm the DA, I'm making that deal with her.
Yeah, you know, people don't,
because you got to get the main guys. I'm giving her that deal.
Yeah, people get upset. Well, they don't deserve. Stop it, bro. We have to put together a trial.
Yeah.
You have to have people
Yeah.
to point. You have to have people say, Jimmy did
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and Bobby did this, and Tom did that. And if you
Right.
say, well, they don't deserve it. Yeah, but if you don't make the deal, they don't say that, and they all go free.
Yeah. Duh.
Right, but people are idiots.
Yeah. So that makes sense about Kasabian. So Vincent Bugliosi, the district attorney, he wins the case. He gets all the guilty verdicts. He's internationally famous. This is like the biggest news story of the early 70s, right? Shatters the end of the 60s hippie movement. He writes the book Helter Skelter, sells millions of copies, right? But there's a lot that he left out. Basically, he does not talk at all about the connection, pretty obvious when you look at the evidence, of the CIA's MK Ultra program to Charles Manson, right? Now, I'm not going to rehash everything because that's its own like podcast series, right? Like if you go read the book Chaos, that's what it's about. It's the contention is in a nutshell, he was being dosed with acid at the free clinic, the San Francisco Free Clinic.
You don't want to at least explain what MK Ultra is?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a CIA.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Let's talk about that. The MK
And
Ultra.
even if you don't believe in this conspiracy,
The MK Ultra is undeniably a real thing.
undeniably a real thing and extremely unethical.
Yeah.
And even the CIA admits they did unethical things. They dosed
my
people
God.
that had no idea they were being dosed.
Yep.
Like it was just completely
People
fucked
got
up.
People got killed. People died. People went
Jumped out-
crazy.
The guy jumped out. When the one guy jumped
That's
out of
right.
the fucking
jumped out of a plane, I think.
No, one guy jumped out of the. This is the 15th floor or 25th
Right.
floor or something. He actually just jumps out of the fucking window.
That's right. This was the same time. This was the Vietnam era.
Right.
So they were practicing like the CIA was doing Operation Phoenix, where they were, massacring people in Laos and Vietnam. So this was like one of the most unscrupulous times of the CIA. So essentially they were working, it was dosing people with acid and then working on mind control.
Right. Now sometimes
Sleep deprivation. It was basically a sick science experiment.
right, they're trying to see what the effects of LSD does to the mind, and can we use this
Yeah.
to to control people, to
Yeah.
hypnotize people, to whatever.
Right. To
And-
get people to be a Manchurian candidate.
Yes.
Can we get people to assassinate other political leaders
Right.
under the control of LSD and hypnosis?
And so one of the things I think is interesting, that this is the part that really bothers me, is that if you were dosed with LSD and you didn't know you were dosed with LSD, you think you've gone crazy.
Right.
Like, how scary is it?
Oh my God.
That you have no idea what's happening. You don't and especially if you've never been. This isn't a normal drug. This is a new drug.
Right.
And you get dosed. You don't know what's happening. Like I said, the one guy jumps out of a whatever 30th floor window or whatever
Right.
it was. People are going. They think they're going crazy. Like it's a horrific thing to do. It's a very unethical thing to do.
Oh,
and a cruel.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, basically the theory, backed up by a lot of evidence, is that Charles Manson is an MK Ultra patient gone rogue.
Right.
And the cover-up was essentially just that, to disassociate him from the MK Ultra program and this ultra secret CIA program that turned out to be a blunder. And by the way, in 1973, they closed the program down.
Oh, okay.
So,
I know one of the experiments was, and I want to say this was inmates, that they were giving it to inmates and they were just to watch them. But they're dosing them with like 100 doses of LSD.
Oh my
And they're
God.
just watching them for like 3 or 4 days to see what the effects are. Like, they don't know what the effects are, right? This is a new drug.
Right.
It's not like there's clinical trials.
right.
You know,
Right.
so they're dosing these guys over and over again for a long period of time to see what the effects will be. That's just. I'm saying what I'm saying is these aren't those types of experiments. It's not even debatable. The
Right.
CIA will say that
Yeah.
we did this.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine that? 100 doses of first of all, I don't know how you don't. Yeah,
Well-
I don't know how you don't jump out of a window.
Well,
I
you're,
guess
in,
you're in a prison
you're
cell.
in a prison. But at least those guys know
Right.
I'm taking this drug.
Yeah.
I'm being watched.
Right.
I'm being monitored.
Right.
They at least have that knowledge. It's the people that had no idea.
Right. Right.
That's the insanity. And then so
God,
so
I'm just getting stressed out just thinking about it.
so these types of let's say trials or whatever, they progress.
Mm-hmm.
They give them. There's different ways that you're going to use. There's control environments and
Yeah.
different tests that you're running.
Yeah.
And so the book Chaos explains that one of them is the what happens at the clinic.
Right.
Because at one point,
The San Francisco Free Clinic.
At one
Yeah.
point, it leaves the institutions.
That's right. It left the institutions and now it's basically on the street. And the San Francisco Free Clinic was basically a front for the CIA getting acid out to the population. Now, a lot of the evidence, there's a lot of questionable things that happened with Manson. One, why his parole officer? Now, I know it was the 60s. I know it was a different time. They're not as strict. But this guy had such a lengthy rap sheet. It didn't really make sense why he was never. He was virtually allowed to leave the state. He was allowed to violate all to an egregious level all of these stipulations of his parole. That's one thing, right? And then his parole officer never answered for any of that stuff. It was like he was taking orders from a higher power meaning a higher federal authority. Also, the Spawn Ranch, they knew how dirty that place was for a long time, and they never raided it. Remember, they raided the Death Valley Ranch, but they never raided the Spawn Ranch. And when they finally did, they didn't charge them with the guns, stolen cars, any of that stuff. And when you go read Tom's book, his last name escapes me, Chaos, there's a lot of evidence that the sheriff's department backed off because they're like, we know that guy Charlie Manson is connected to the CIA. And it's on and on and on. And Bugliosi himself cannot answer for a lot of the evidence that he buried at trial, that he just didn't allow so many witnesses and federal agents and law enforcement officers that he just did not even allow to come into be presented as evidence in the trial. It's pretty fascinating.
So what's the theory?
The theory,
that they were allowing him to. They were dosing him and Manson and the family with LSD to watch them.
Yes,
or,
correct.
And that it led to his unstable
unintended consequences.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the CIA was really trying to spark off a race war.
No, they're not directing him.
No,
anyway.
they're not directing him.
They're just not helping. They're not exactly stabilizing him.
Exactly. So, and he's a guy, obviously they were probably testing this on criminals. They started testing it on criminals in prison, and now they're testing it on criminals in the free world. And when it came out about what happened, they're scrambling to basically cover their tracks, which I kind of accept as an acceptable conspiracy theory. I believe it. Yeah. So it's one of the most remarkable cases, the most remarkable stories of the 20th century in America. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. And what I think is interesting is that I've watched several videos and documentaries on it, and it's usually simplified. The murders are typically very simplified. And it wasn't till we really looked into it and I kind of did a deep dive. And I didn't even get into the fact that there's about a dozen additional murders that they believe he's involved in, and members of, let me give you an example. Two of the girls in the family had rented a house, and there were two bodies that were buried in the basement. Now, this wasn't in California. This is in another area. That were found that were buried in the basement of the house. That were supposedly the two bodies were also cult members.
No shit.
That there's also a body that had been dug up somewhere. I don't know how far away from the Spawn Ranch, where there's a body out in the little kind of desert area there that had been dug up, and it was also a young person that had gone to L.A. or San Francisco, and they believe this person was also a part of a member that had been killed. There's just a few, but there's there's a dozen of them.
Yeah, there's murders out there by Death Valley
that they think are related to the Manson family.
Yeah,
but I didn't get into that because it's also subjective and
it's a little bit of conjecture.
Maybe, and I get it. And is it possible? Yeah, and we've got enough material anyway.
Yeah,
this is insane enough.
Yeah,
we don't need to go off on a bunch of tangents.
Now, do we know Manson gave a lot of interviews while he was locked up? Does he cop to any other murders, or do they ever try to press him for more information while he's locked up?
Yeah, he didn't talk any of the. And I watched maybe 5 minutes of one of his, because they'll go there. He would have the news crews come in because he wanted to talk about the murders and talk about what really happened.
Yeah,
and
we can't trust that. He's trying to control the narrative.
But he wouldn't even do it. He'd just start talking about all kinds of just insanity. I leave here every night, man. They don't have me in prison. Yeah. I own this prison. I own the world. He would just ramble and ramble, and they'd be like, look, we came here to talk about this, and he'd just go on.
He sounds like one of our podcast guests.
Yeah, he just wanted the attention.
Yeah, of course.
He's not admitting to anything.
Right.
Listen, one of his parole hearings, he showed up. He actually walks in with a bunch of stuff. He said, listen, can we do this next year? He said, I'm opening a website. He said, I'm starting a website. I'm really busy.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't
I'm surprised he didn't start playing music.
They said, we don't have you can waive the hearing. He said, yeah, let's just do that, man. And he walks off. He knows he's not getting out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just a crackpot. And
so we don't know if he ever actually physically killed someone himself.
No, that's the whole thing. But it's definitely a conspiracy, and I'm, as much as I think the conspiracy laws are misused, in this case, I think he definitely directed.
It was appropriate,
right?
Yes.
It was appropriate, and I think he probably did kill people. I just don't think that there's any evidence of it.
Yeah,
and also, by the way, the murders, like the Tate murders, the woman that I said I had watched an interview with her, she explains that she didn't know what had happened. when they came back that night, they all went to bed. Now, she just knows these guys went off and they came back. They all went to bed. They slept in late. She was watching TV. They came in and said, "Turn on the news." And she was like, "Okay." And she turned on the news, and she said the very first story was the Tate murders. And she was like, they all sat there and watched it, and they were like, "Wow, man, she does remember them saying, picked a good one, man, picked a good one." And she was thinking, like she said, I was horrified by what I was watching, and they seemed very like, nodding, and
pumped up about
man,
it. Yeah, we did it.
Didn't say anything though. She's like, that's the only clue I should have had, but didn't put it together until months later when they got arrested. So I think that a lot of the people that were there didn't realize what was happening.
Because remember, the cult's about 20 people strong, more or less. So only 5 of them were
involved, deeply involved.
And a few of them, Tex Watson, and the other guy were basically the leaders, the henchmen for Charles Manson.
So I don't think even if he did, I don't think he'd ever say, and I don't think that there's any proof that he did. There's one of the things I had heard was that he had killed, like the person that was found not far from the ranch out in kind of the desert area was a cult member that he had an issue with that he ended up killing and buried there. But that's like 1 or 2 people have said it. He's never said it. There's nothing to prove that. Did he kill somebody? Has he killed people? Maybe, but I don't know. He definitely was conspired to do these murders and should have died. Exactly what happened. He died in prison. He should have died in prison, or he should have gotten the
death penalty.
Death penalty.
Yeah,
which he did, but he skated it. So whatever.
I wonder why he was never killed in prison. Do you think he was in isolation? Do you think he was in the shoe? They couldn't touch him. But also, I don't think the inmates hated him.
No, I talked to a guy.
Maybe they should have, but I don't think they did.
I talked to a guy that was in prison with him. Only time he ever saw him was, he said he walked by. Manson was going to visitation, and there was like 4 guards with him, walking him. And he said he walked right by him, and he said, Manson glanced up at him and just kept on walking. He said that was it. That's my Manson story. And I said, what do he look like? He said he's tiny.
Just a tiny hairy dude, long hair, still kind of stuck in the 60s in a way.
Yeah.
I guess he wanted to start a website though, so he knew about tech.
This is one of the last ones. Yeah.
Wow.
This is probably in the 90s. I think, 90s or early 2000s.
Charlie Manson, rest in peace. Sharon Tate, rest in peace. And Roman Polanski. Let's hope you're finally brought to justice. That guy's no good. Although Chinatown, classic movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.